Welcome to the Mindset Architect Podcast, where it's all about creating the life you want, the business you want, and making a real difference. Join us in unlocking the code to true success. And now your host, Tony Caliendo, Master Coach with Rethink Coaching.
Welcome to the Mindset Architect Podcast, episode number 140. I'm Tony Caliendo, author of Less Over More and executive coach here at Rethink Coaching. As always, I want to just take a minute and thank you for sharing your time with me. Time truly is our greatest asset, and the fact that you're willing to share your time with me truly does mean a great deal, and I cannot tell you how much I appreciate that. I want to make the most of your time today and talk about an important item that we haven't really talked about in the past that's really important for your growth, whether it's in your career or in your life or whatever area you are focusing on. And that is the hidden cost of holding on. And there is a hidden cost when we hold on to something for the sake of just holding on to it, for whether it's from a safety perspective, security perspective, whatever it might be. In order to level up, it usually requires us to let go of something. I know for myself in my life, I've had many of opportunities presented to me, amazing opportunities, career growth while I was in the hospitality industry at Marriott, best company in the world, career growth while I was a real estate agent into leadership, ownership, coaching. A lot of opportunities were presented on my journey to where I am now. And had I chose not to let go, had I chose just to hold on to what I was experiencing for the sheer fact that it's safe and comfortable, I certainly would have missed out on many incredible opportunities, experiences, and joy that I've had up to this point, and I know there's more to come. So I really want you to think about it. A lot of us think we just need to add something to grow, and the reality is, in order to grow, we have to let go of some things. Just like when we talked about identity, success, and joy in previous podcasts, you've got to let go of your old identity to become who you need to be to achieve a new goal. When you hold on to that old identity, things are harder to achieve. Same thing for anything that you want to do differently in life or business. There's a cost to holding on for the sake of holding on. This works for you strategically because it allows you to have the space for something different, something bigger, something better, something easier, something that brings you more peace to happen in your life. There is this illusion that we hold on to of progress, right? Why we often will do more because we think that's really moving us forward. I personally think that when we create busyness, right, there's a lot to filling your day with doing more, just do more, just do more. I'll be busy. I'll feel really good about myself. I personally believe we do that. It's emotional avoidance, really. What I think it really is, though, is avoiding those thoughts that are making you question everything. Those thoughts that are coming from your unconscious mind, those thoughts that you've been putting off because you just don't want to think about the risk that it would take to get you to that next level. There's a lot of things that I think busyness can provide for you and allow you to think that you're actually making progress and you're moving forward when you're really not. If you're looking to have a bigger life, bigger business, bigger experience, you must identify some things to let go of in order to make the space for that new version of you to show up. And do not confuse busyness with progress or movement forward, because it will require you to release some things and to get really clear on potentially what you're avoiding that could take you to that next level. Also, there's a question that I want to ask you is, what are you still carrying that maybe is no longer serving you, right? We talked about old identity versus new identity. We talked about becoming intentional about identifying your new identity. We must do that. We have to let go of some of our old version of identity for ourselves to move forward, to do something different. Same thing with success. Many times we have to let go of the definition of success that we're carrying around. We got those inherited maybe from our parents, peers, industries, whatever it is. Yet if you're carrying around the wrong version of success, it is going to hold you back because it really is not serving you as you want to move forward. This is something that many of us hold on to because we don't stop long enough to question it. We don't stop long enough to really ask ourselves, is what I'm carrying with me now, identity, definition of success, joy creator, is what I'm carrying around now going to allow me to get to the next level? Or what do I need to let go of out of those elements that would allow me the growth that I need? Happens also with your beliefs. A lot of times as we're moving into doing something different, we have to get our beliefs in alignment as well. Our old beliefs may not be serving us for a bigger version of us, and we have to be okay with letting some of those old beliefs go and creating some new beliefs. I know for myself, when I left the hospitality industry to go into real estate, it really questioned my identity. I was really successful in the hotel business, in sales and operations as a general manager of a hotel. My old identity was that. I had to let that go, though, if I wanted to have a new identity of being a successful real estate professional in growing my own business. I had to let go of the commitments I made to myself in the previous world. When I make X amount of money, when I do this, those commitments to myself, I had to let go of some of those old ones if I wanted to live into a bigger existence for me. And I had to really get my beliefs around my new world. Because if I had any doubt and I wasn't in the space of beliefs, like I believe 100% that I could be successful as a GM for as long as I wanted to be a general manager of a hotel. That belief was rock solid. What belief wasn't was being a successful real estate professional. I had to work on that belief, let go of some of the old ones, and bring into it some new beliefs about my potential. Also, there's this emotional cost of holding on. Sometimes we stay in a relationship, we stay in a career, we stay in a situation longer because we're not letting it go, right? We're holding on to it. And it can cause a lot of stress, overwhelm, and lack of clarity. If you do not allow yourself to think bigger or to think differently and to think about what am I holding on to that's preventing me from getting there, you really do cause yourself a little bit of stress and a lack of clarity. I think about the changes I wanted to make, right? There's this emotional cost to holding on. When I moved from hotel to real estate, there was an emotional cost of holding on. I was not honoring this internal drive that I had to be an entrepreneur. My belief was strong that I could be an entrepreneur, and real estate was the path I chose to take to exercise that. The cost of holding on to my old life was overwhelm, stress, and anxiety. And it also caused me to question why I was doing what I was doing and trying to bury all of that underneath so I didn't get distracted was causing a lot of overwhelm. Just do what you've always done. Why are you rocking the boat? Why are you wanting to do this? Just enjoy the place where you are. Do not push again to get to something else. And I started to just do more to distract myself. I started to do more to prevent myself from thinking about the life that I really wanted to live. And what I found out was that doing too much, like, helping other people, being a hotel where salespeople came in and were trained under us, by being a hotel where people from operations would come in to get trained under what we were doing. When I started creating all of this more, it really doesn't create the freedom, right? Too much stuff didn't create freedom. What it actually created was friction. And I want you to think about that. If you're doing something that you've outgrown or that is no longer fulfilling you in a way that it did initially, or that it's just kind of fizzled out, it's time for your next chapter, but you start doing more in that arena, in that area, it is going to cause friction because you're doing more of what you don't want to do anymore. And I can't help but believe that underneath all of it, there is a sense of resentment that you're doing that. I'm doing more of what I don't want to do anymore. that is causing friction. That is not creating freedom for me. It's creating friction because it's holding me into a space I no longer want to be in. And it's making me do more of what I don't want to do anymore. So there is a strong emotional cost of holding on to something for the wrong reason. I think the main reason, and this is really not rocket science, folks, is the main reason like why some of us hold on and don't let go is not only it's emotional, right? But it is risky. Letting go of what you know has worked and served you in the past to go into something new and different is risky. It feels risky because it is. There's a risk. There's an inherent risk with doing something different than what you've done, doing something different that you don't have any evidence or proof of that you're going to be successful. So we get stuck in this success trap. I'll just stay doing what I've always done because I'm successful in this area. And we get stuck there, and that becomes our ceiling. This feeling of risk is really, for me, exciting. At first, it's like, it's not great. And then I get really excited because I know with risk comes reward. I know that this fear of losing success, status, or identity is really ego. And then I can go create success, status, and identity anywhere I want because I have the resources to redefine what success means to me and to create the identity I want to move forward into my next chapter or my next venture. I think about this, the letting go feels risky because it is. And I think about one of the favorite quotes that I have. And a good friend of mine, we did this fundraising bike ride where we rode our bikes, not electric. We rode our bikes from Houston to Dallas over 4 days. And he gave me this card when we finished the journey. And I think about it often when it comes to taking risk or taking changes and letting go, like stop holding on to things. And it's a poem or a statement by Patrick Overton. And I'm going to read it to you because I love it. It is, when you come to the edge of all of the light you have, and you must take a step into the darkness of the unknown, either there will be something solid for you to stand on, or you will fly. And I think about that all of the time. I think about letting go feels risky, yet I know one of two things is going to happen. I'm either going to fly or there will be something solid for me to stand on. That's it. Those are the only two options that I give myself. And it has served me really, really well. That feeling of risk suddenly doesn't feel as overwhelming, and it actually feels exciting. The other thing to consider for this journey, when you are holding on just for the sake of holding on, and there's something bigger for you, there's something different for you out there that you're wanting to do, you've got to look at creating subtraction so you can clear the noise and hear the signal. All right. I want you to think about this for a second. When you fill your space with just do more. So in whatever capacity you're in right now, and you think, I'm just going to do more because I'm already successful and it's too risky to let go of that. I could lose my identity. I could lose my status. I could lose my success. And we just start busying ourselves. That's creating noise. And noise does nothing more than distract you from the signal, which is the kind of North Star, the thing that you can focus on that will move you forward. I think about a lighthouse. I think about true north. I think about a lot of things. What I know to be true is that there is a signal for all of us. And many times we've created so much distraction through noise, through just busyness, through doing more, that we drown out the signal. It becomes foggy. It becomes cloudy. It becomes noisy. I can't hear it. I can't see it. Yet when I start subtracting things out, the signal becomes clearer and stronger, and I can move toward it, which is where I need to be going versus paying attention to the noise. So clarity doesn't just come from doing more. It comes from subtraction. When I remove the noise that is keeping me held in place, that is keeping me in that success trap, when I remove the noise, I see the signal. And the signal is my lighthouse for where I'm headed, for my next venture, my next journey, whatever you want to look at. But until I clear the space to see that, I'm never going to get to that next destination. You've got to remove the interference that you are creating strictly because you're doing more. This really is an important thing. I want you to really think about this. There is a signal out there for all of us. And some of us may not have ever really thought about this, like what's the signal? And if I am committed to doing something different and I'm agreeing to let go of things that are not serving me any longer, I'm going to remove some of the distractions that allow me to see clearer. It's like wiping the windshield of your car cleaner. It's like cleaning your eyeglasses so you can see better. Removing things that are no longer serving you allows you to see the clear path forward. So subtraction always is important when we're looking at moving into a new direction. There's a framework that I use. We ask, we decide, we replace, and we act. When I'm thinking about what am I holding on to, that if I let go of would allow me to experience a different level of success. I will tell you this, I have had to do this several times in my career. Most recently, you've heard me talk about getting my book, Less Over More, published. It'll be out in August. And I had to let go of some things to create this space for it to show up. I had to. There was no way that I could see the clear signal on what I needed to do to become an author if I didn't remove some of the things from my business and my life that were keeping me from this new version, this new identity, this new sense of belief about myself that would have constantly interfered had I not removed them. So there's 4 steps. Number 1, when I'm looking at my letting go framework, what am I going to let go of that I've been holding on to that is potentially keeping me from my next journey? The number 1 thing is I ask myself is what is no longer aligned? And if you've done the work with me and you've listened to previous podcasts, we've talked about success and identity. What is no longer aligned is really important because I need to identify what is no longer serving me. What part of my identity, what part of my definition of success is not aligned with my future vision, with where I want to go, what I want to do. So number 1 is to ask yourself what's no longer aligned. Number 2 is to decide what am I willing to release? What am I willing to let go of in order to get more in alignment? So the question really is easy. The decision of what I'm willing to release, 9 times out of 10, it should be what's no longer aligned. So for example, I was doing a group coaching program that I'd done for years. Years I had been doing this and I was just doing it because I did it, right? It was successful. I don't want to say it was easy. It still took work. However, I knew what to do in order to make it successful. It was no longer in alignment with what I was doing though. So I had to ask myself what's no longer aligned. And that was a group coaching program that I was doing. When I asked myself, what am I willing to release? That was one of the first things that came up. However, immediately following that came that risk thing. Well, gosh, if I let it go, that's a nice amount of money that comes in every month that I can really count on. I can sell this program over and over. People love it. And if I'm going to stop doing it, I'm risking income. Yet I knew that I had to let it go. And I did. And so what am I willing to release was that program. And what is the right more now? All right. So I let go of that program and it allowed for the signal to show up about what I needed to do to write a book. What is my right more now? Well, I'd never written a book before. So as a coach, what do you think the first thing I did? I hired a writing coach. I needed to know what it looked like to write a novel. The right more, in addition, was finding an agent who believed in my content, my topic, what I wanted to write about, to find an agent that supported that. Then the next right more was to find a publishing house that believed in it as well. I had to sell it to the agent had to sell it to a publishing house. Those were my right more steps. Yet it all started with hiring a writing coach. I needed that first. That was my next right more. That was what I was willing to do. The reason I knew that was I released and removed the things that were no longer serving me, which created the space for the right more to show up. It allowed me to get out of the busyness of that group coaching program and take time to think about, okay, if you are going to become an author, what do you need to do? And it allowed the space for that to show up. The signal got stronger and brighter, and I knew the direction I was going. And I was immediately able to identify what I needed to honor that and to move forward. And the last thing was act. What is one thing that I will stop this week? Well, the one thing was I pulled all the marketing for that group program off of our website. I stopped talking about it. I stopped asking people to enroll in it. And that was one of the things that I did to clear the path for me to hear and see the signal to move forward to becoming an author and writing a book. So you ask, you decide, you replace, you act. You ask what is no longer aligned. You decide what you're willing to release. You replace with what is the right more now, and you act. What's one thing you're going to stop doing that you need to stop doing in order to honor the signal? This is really an interesting topic because so many of us hold on to and stay in a place because of our mindset is a place of scarcity. It's taken me a long time to know that when I remove things, when I subtract, that I can guarantee it's creating the space for something amazing to show up. There are many times that I will subtract what I'm holding on to when I don't even know what I want to do next. But I ask myself those questions, what am I no longer aligned with? And once I start removing those things, the noise, a signal appears for me. And it allows me to think differently about what I want to do next. But it starts from not living in a place of scarcity, and it starts from subtraction. There have been so many amazing things that have shown up in my world because of the subtraction piece. I let go of, I no longer held on to things that were no longer in alignment with me, even though I wasn't sure what I wanted to do next. And again, what happened by doing that is the signal that has always been there was allowed to become clearer and louder. That allowed me to know this was my next right more. This was my new path. And it only was able to show up because I stopped holding on to what was no longer serving me. So I'm going to ask you this. What are you holding on to? Maybe from a position of scarcity, maybe from a position of, I don't want to lose my identity. I don't want to lose my place in the world. I don't want to have people think that I quit something. What are you holding on to that's really keeping you from the next level? I think we all have a next level. And I'm not saying that you need to change careers like I've done. I did a lot in those careers as I grew. In the hospitality industry, I started off as a reservation agent at an 800 number for Marriott hotels in Omaha, Nebraska, and ended up being a general manager of a couple hotels in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I had to subtract to get there. I had to let go of some things to enjoy that journey. So you may be holding on to things that are actually blocking you from what's possibly out there for you that you aren't even aware of at this point. So ask yourself the question, what's the hidden cost I'm experiencing right now because I'm holding on to things that are preventing me from seeing the signal of my path forward? All right, we'll talk to you soon. Make it a good one. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you must come check out the Mindset Architect Group Coaching Program. It's our monthly program where we explore the power of your mindset, help you identify what you truly want in business and life, and then help you reach those goals. Come check us out at rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. That's rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. We'll see you there.